very briefly, thank you all for being here today. Particularly, I want to thank my colleagues in Congress for being here, and for Kevin McCarthy, Republican leader Kevin McCarthy. While the administration is studying and looking and reviewing, and even when the Cubans were in the streets after a week, he announces what? A group to study ways to increase remittances into the island. By the way, something that the regime has been asking for. Well, that has been taking place. And while the president meets and listens to those who in many cases have years of advocacy for the interests of the regimes, for a unilateral lifting of sanctions, that's why we're so grateful to Leader McCarthy for creating this group, for leading. He has sent letters to people around the world demanding solidarity. He's actually sent a letter to the president demanding a meeting with the president to deal with this urgent, important issue. It's urgent and important to the people of Cuba, to this entire hemisphere, but also to the national security interests of the United States. So while the administration is at best confused, or at worst listening to the allies of the Castro regime, we are so grateful to the leadership of Kevin McCarthy and of our colleagues in Congress. With that, let me start by introducing somebody who needs no introduction. He served the United States honorably in the military. He served in the House of Representatives. He's always been a transparent voice for freedom. He's been a clear voice against socialism and Marxism and communism. He is the great governor of the state of Florida, Governor DeSantis.
All right. Well, thanks, Mario, and it was a pleasure serving with you. I saw Ileana is here. Where's Ileana? We used to work together as well, and you always knew when there was fights for freedom, the people in South Florida were always going to be on the side of those seeking to fight authoritarian regimes and to fight Marxism and Leninism. And we're here at with the Bay of Pigs veterans. 60 years ago, 6 decades, they knew what was at stake, and they put their lives on the line to be able to have a free Cuba. They understood what a Marxist dictatorship would mean, and it's meant exactly what they understood: decades of repression and misery that has dominated that island. We are now in a situation, maybe for the first time since then, where you have a real shot to have a change, to have freedom sweep the island. You have people who are being very brave that are out on the street knowing the risks that they're facing. And we have had many of these people have disappeared. We don't know where they've gone. The regime is absolutely cracking down. And so these are times where people who support freedom need to stand together, and we need to stand with the people of Cuba. A free Cuba would be in the interest of the United States of America. I mean, if you want influence of the Communist Party of China in the Western Hemisphere and Russia, then support the regime in Havana, because they want every nefarious influence around the world comes through there. If you want no Chinese influence, you don't want Russian influence, then you should want a free Cuba. If you want to have a good Western Hemisphere and not have all these problems in places like Venezuela and Nicaragua, then you should want to see a change in the regime in Havana, because Havana has for decades spawned all kinds of disruptions and oppression throughout the Western Hemisphere. So we have an opportunity as a country. Certainly the state of Florida stands unequivocally with the people of Cuba. We have an opportunity, though, to make a difference. And it requires leadership from the White House. It requires the president to show and take tangible steps to stand with the people of Cuba. Don't do things that are going to bolster the regime. Don't do remittances. Don't help Venezuela. Don't do any of those things. Stand with these freedom fighters. I called immediately for internet to be restored, to have the United States take the lead. That has not happened yet. There's a bunch of different ways where that could possibly be happen. And what I've told people is, look, if the U.S. government won't do it, if we can do it in Florida, if there's a company that will do it, we'll work to do it. I mean, this is really, really important and really is a no-brainer for something that we should want to see. So I thank everybody who's been in this fight. I think this morning we had a couple different events and heard some some really heartbreaking stories about what is happening over there, and now's the time to be able to stand up. So I want to thank the House of Representatives member, Leader McCarthy, all the other representatives for coming down here and listening firsthand. I think they were already on the same page anyways, but I think their resolve is probably going to be strengthened now hearing some of the powerful stories. And so this is an important moment. This is a critical time. We need leadership, and we need it now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Thank you all for being here. I want to thank the leader, the members of Congress, all the elected officials, of course, our great governor. We're here united in one voice for one cause, and that cause is freedom, libertad, which is what the Cuban people clamored for on July 11th. It's what the Cuban people continue to clamor for. But yet, we have inaction, we have lack of courage, lack of leadership from the Biden administration. I have one question for him. What is taking so long? You heard from our governor. Here in Florida, we stand ready and committed to helping the Cuban people for their quest for freedom. I'm the daughter of Cuban exiles, but my story is similar to so many other stories here. We've seen families ripped apart, dreams unfulfilled, generations of individuals that never got to visit their homeland, people that have since passed without ever being able to step foot on that island 90 miles from our shores. And so for me, it's personal. For many people in this room, it's personal. And for these representatives that are from all parts of this country, I believe that it's personal for them too. And so I'm honored to be here with so many great leaders lending their voice for the cause of freedom. Estamos aquí hoy con los miembros del Congreso de diferentes partes del país, con miembros de los oficiales electos aquí del Estado, unidos en una voz y por una causa. La causa, libertad. Hemos visto desde el 11 de julio, el pueblo cubano se ha tirado para la calle en una manera que nunca hemos visto. Y estamos unidos con ellos. Y vamos a seguir insistiendo que esta administración busque la manera de ayudar al pueblo cubano, que traiga la libertad, que traiga la democracia. No podemos esperar. Y le tengo sola una pregunta a la administración de Biden. ¿Por qué se está demorando? ¿Por qué se está demorando? Necesitamos el apoyo de los Estados Unidos, necesitamos seguir insistiendo que el pueblo cubano puede llegar a sus sueños de libertad. Como hija de miembros exiliados de Cuba, les digo que mi cuento es igual que el de los de tantas personas aquí. Mi historia es igual que tantas personas aquí, que hemos visto familias que no se han podido ver, hemos visto sueños sin poder realizar. Hemos visto generaciones de personas que nunca han podido regresar a su país. Y ahora es el momento de cambiar esa historia para tantos cubanos que desesperadamente están buscando libertad. Les doy las gracias de nuevo al líder McCarthy, a los miembros del Congreso.
Once again, do want to say thanks for being here with us on Live Now from Fox. We're listening in as we do have Florida leaders on the Republican side, along with our House Republican leader, Representative Kevin McCarthy, speaking on what's going on down in Cuba. So we're listening in live on Unfiltered here on Live Now from Fox.
Listening to those who are the apologists for the regime. Leader McCarthy has been clear from day one, not only now, but from day one. He has been leading. He has been leading the effort. He is standing firm. He is continuing the pressure. So it is a privilege now to introduce the Republican leader of the United States House of Representatives, soon to be the Speaker of the House of the United States House of Representatives, Kevin McCarthy.
Thank you, Mario. I want to thank the governor. I want to thank the lieutenant governor. Most importantly, I want to thank the members. This is a small group of the advisory group working on the idea of freedom. This is our second day listening, sitting down with individuals, hearing unbelievable stories, and now standing here in a museum that knew more than 60 years ago. The Brigade of 2506 knew exactly what they were fighting for. The fight still stays on today. The oppression. You cannot be the leader of the free world To believe what happened on July 11th, 12th, and 13th is about COVID. It's about freedom. You cannot be the leader of the free world when those who crave freedom and you sit silent. You cannot be the leader of the free world if you want to appease socialism and communism. That's not the country of who we are. That's not what we stand for. We've watched time and again the failure of communism, the oppression of socialism. You cannot be the leader of the free world where people are gathered, put into prison and never heard from all ages. You cannot be the leader of the free world if you want to see freedom, not just in Cuba, but throughout Latin America. This is the place to be. This is what to fight for. And you cannot be the Speaker of the House if you adjourn the House without even bringing up a resolution to tell the freedom fighters in Cuba that we stand with you and we will not back down. That's why we're here. And I will tell you, the testimony we have heard is so powerful. Just last night, I heard from one. He talked of his mother and father, those who gave him life in Cuba today. He told us that they have COVID, but he did not ask for medicine. He said, do not send medicine, send freedom. That is what this fight is about. This is what this fight was about more than 60 years ago. This is a moment, this is a movement, but again, where is the president? Where is the Speaker of the House? Why are you staying silent when those crave the freedom that our country, a beacon of what we stand for, conceived in liberty and dedicated that all are equal? How can you stay quiet when you know what is going on? How can you leave when you know the time is now? How can you not join with? This should not be a Republican or Democrat issue. This is an issue about America, about freedom, and the future of the world. This is 90 miles away from our country. This is the tip and the spear and the head of what feeds the socialism throughout Latin America, which means more oppression. It means no freedom. Mr. President, we've requested a meeting. Why? Because if you can't come up with ideas, we have them. We can tell you the solutions. We will stand with you if you will act, but we will not sit back to your silence to those who crave freedom. We will lead the charge, and that's why we're here.